Well, punters, what a week. Here we are, Everest week, Caulfield Cup week. Mick, how you feeling, mate?
Mate, I am genuinely pumped. Not only are the pubs back open, but racing is just on fire.
Yeah, look, friends of the show, I noticed were lining up at certain leagues clubs at 12:01 on Monday morning for their first beer. We join you in that feeling, and it's all lining up, isn't it? And look, that's for Sydney siders. We throw a note out to our Victorian friends, and you're coming. It's coming for you guys. You've got Melbourne Cup, 10,000 people. We've heard that's great news. Look, what a big week, Mick. I just thought we'd start by asking you to tell punters why it's better than ever to subscribe to this YouTube channel, which is the button below. What's happening, Mick, in terms of content?
Do yourselves a favour. So we've had some great content coming out this week. Was released Monday night. We had an Everest and Kosciuszko preview that came out actually Sunday night with myself and Dean Watling. We also had the All In come out late Monday night, early Tuesday morning, which is the All In preview for those races there. But look, the last 2 weeks, Dino has been red hot. So he has been steering punters into winners left, right, and centre. So there's plenty more to come. If you did miss those, if you happen to catch this on Thursday morning, sure, they probably might have missed some of those all-in prices that have been absolutely smashed. But at least you'll get an understanding of what we were looking for before you do chime in and see our best bets article, which will be out probably Thursday afternoon.
And that's the reason why you want to subscribe, because it actually lets you know when those shows have come in, so you can get straight on it, pick up the prices. As Mick said there, Dean Watling there, he's on fire. Now, other thing we want to say is come to the site. The greattipoff.com is the tipster hub in Australia. You'll struggle to find or not find the person you're looking for. And amongst that, you'll find some great upcoming stars, all stats since 2009. You can't get better. This week, hey, what a show. We're going to start off by looking at the 2 big meetings, Randwick and Caulfield, and saying, look, who has got the best stats? We're going to 365 days. You can't get a better time period to see who really is showing themselves to be a track specialist. So we're going to look at the top 5 in each. Then we're going to talk to, who are we going to talk to, Mick?
Oh, snap, Gator.
We're going to talk to this bloke. That's not him, but, you know what I'm talking about. We're talking to Gator, and look, hey, hang around for that, because it's great stuff. We had a great chat with Gator, and look, we're going to round it out with our How Do You Punt series. And look, it's
just a question on Gator. Sorry to bump in. Is he wearing a shirt this time, or has he got a singlet on? What's doing?
Actually, mate, we touch on fashion. We get a bit of a rundown on that when we get to his Melbourne Cup schedule.
Fashion. Beautiful.
So you're going to love that one, mate. So hang around for that. It really is a great interview. And look, we're going to round it out with our How Do You Punt series. Absolutely on fire, the discussion around track bias. I think they're still chiming in there on Twitter. And it's really good to hear what other punters think and do. And lots of people lining up with your thoughts, Mick, on that one. But hey, this week we've got a really good one. Weight. Does weight stop a train? How do you use weight in your assessment of form? Mick's going to give his view. I'm going to chime in a little bit, and then we're going to hand over to the punters. You ready, Mick, to go?
Mate, ready to roll.
Let's do it. And, of course, Mick, we're coming up to the big Everest and Caulfield Cup Carnival. So what a better time than to look at the track specialists. And just before we get into it and we go through the top 5 leaderboards, I just want to talk to this because, look, it's been proven, people who like a track, who say they like a track, they like it for a reason. And it usually shows in their stats. So if you're going to follow someone, come to the site. You can cut the numbers by any track in Australia, in fact, in the world, where there are race meetings. And that's what we're doing here. We're cutting those numbers to see really who are the track specialists. So why don't we start with Randwick, Mick?
Mate, let's do it.
All right, so looking at the leaderboard here for Randwick, 365 days profit on turnover percentage. Oh, look, I'll tell you what, Damo, I'm almost getting fatigued saying his name. It's like Damo. So there he is at the top, 28% pot, 94 tips, the reasonable number at the track, and that nice average price there. John Huran from Winning Post. Here's one, Mick. You ready for this one? So checked in with the boys at Winning Post to get a bit of background on John. Learned that he has retired from tipping. to take up his lawn mowing business, mate. So let us know, mate, when you're getting tired of tipping. I've got a few lawns at the front and back, mate. You can do for me.
Mate, absolutely. Wouldn't be the first time I've mowed your lawns.
Cameron Me there from the Mercury and from the Sydney Morning Herald stable. Look, I had a good chat with Cameron. He's a good bloke. He's a Dragons supporter, so it must be.
Oh.
Must be a good bloke.
Long suffering.
But look, watches a lot of racing. In particular, he likes looking at runners who are deeper into their prep. Look, he actually gave us a bit of an early tip for the Everest. Yeah, he's pretty hot on Nature Strip, mate. So,
oh man,
barrier 10. There's a lot of chatting going on, but he obviously believes in the horse and he can do it. I mean, records are there, or all these sort of facts are there to be broken, aren't they? At the end of the day,
mate. Just on that, I saw something coming out from one media personality saying Nature Strip from barrier 9 onwards, blah blah blah, hasn't won. Next, irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. It's well suited. Anything else, like it's just garbage. Those stats are just garbage. Anyway, sorry to chime in. Sorry to under off the next person, but fair dinkum, please.
That's the one I was referring to. Yeah. Anyhow, look, Cameron's sticking with the champ, Nature Strip, so it's certainly a good price at the moment. So then we got Luke Hovannessian from the Great Tip-Off. Look, Luke is a young form analyst, puts in a lot of work. Mick, thoughts on Luke?
Mate, rising star, part of the GTO team. Awesome. Great to see he's out there doing some amazing work. That's pretty impressive data. I'm also glad you pronounced his surname because I tend to avoid it. But man, Luke's doing great things. He's a star on the rise. And mate, I think we're going to see him only rise up that leaderboard. So good to see. And then, mate, in finish, another GTO analyst there. What have we got? Joshy Reed.
Yeah, Joshy Reed. He's spoken. I think he's been on this show more than any. I think he might even top off Damo there in terms of his appearances on leaderboards. But again, this is a cracking year for Josh. He's just, I mean, he was solid in past years, but he's just gone to a new level this year. So, you know, if you're looking for punters and tipsters to follow at Randwick this weekend, it's Everest Day. These guys are, I mean, except for John, of course, because he's not tipping anymore, but the other four are there. Look them up. Look, the guys from the GTO in particular, they'll be putting out some free tips as well, so chime in. And moving on now to Caulfield, of course, for the big Caulfield Cup Carnival. And look, I did an interview with the Braz a couple of years ago, Mick, and one thing I've put to him there is, are you aware that Caulfield is your best performing track out of all of them? And he had no idea. But that was the fact. But just to show, here we are 2 years later, and he still holds that stat. So, gosh, I'll tell you what, if you're going to follow someone, you could go a lot worse than following Braz, I'd say. With those stats.
I say you get a sore neck when you're looking back, and Braz is obviously too busy doing next week's form. So, but definitely no surprise to see him at the top of another leaderboard.
No, he's a hard worker, and so is this this bloke on the leaderboard. I'll tell you what, Ray Thomas does put out more tips than the tip bot Braz. So obligated to tip in every race. But when you cut the numbers like this, you just see how good someone like Ray Thomas is. 15% pot from 161 tips at the track. With a nice average price there as well. 30% strike rate. He's almost hitting 1 in 3. Geez, he's a lovely guy. I had the opportunity to meet him at the Golden Eagle last year. He's a great guy, Ray Thomas. Now, Gary Harley, I mean, on Sky, I think he's mainly focusing on New South Wales, but in the Sydney Morning Herald, he actually puts his tips for Melbourne, and they're doing very well. I mean, here's a guy who cops a bit, but look, he's on this leaderboard more times than punters would have baked dinners, I reckon. Does okay. Gilbert Gardner from the Herald Sun is there as well. Nice pot, 7%. Remember, these are starting prices from a stack of tips, so certainly someone to follow. And remember, we did an article a couple of years ago on Grace Ramage there, Mick?
Mate, she's on fire, mate. That's she's still shipping away. I'll tell you one thing I just want to mention here, mate.
Yeah.
And obviously we've always got this, Sydney-Melbourne rivalry. Well, what's doing? 3 out of the top 5 Caulfield's specialists spend most of their time in Sydney.
Yep, that's a good point. I didn't notice that one, but yeah, look, well, I just think it goes.
Maybe I'll just give up on doing Sydney and Melbourne. Seems easier.
Well, it just goes to show, though, doesn't it, that you don't have to live near the track or breathe the track. But having said that, I do recall in our Amazing Grace article at thegreattipoff.com when we spoke and interviewed Grace Ramage, she mentioned that her favourite track is Caulfield. So her favourite track is Caulfield. She knows it's a favourite. The performance suggests that's the case. Hey, you could probably go a lot worse than following Grace on Caulfield Cup Day.
Absolutely, it's definitely worth doing.
All right, punters, we have a bottler this week. What a time to talk to none other than David Gator Gately. Gator has a premium package that you can get at thegreattipoff.com. Our focus is on Caulfield and Randwick. And look, it's like a form guide done by a bloke who cuts the sectionals every way you can think of, rates the runners, comments on those rated runners. It's got to be your best companion on a day like Caulfield Cup and Everest Day, Mick. Quality.
Let me tell you a story. So the other, not so long ago, we're probably talking before last COVID. I've gone out to the local, one of many, and just snuck in, told the missus I was going to the shops, and snuck in there for a quick schooner. And I'm there punting, and this bloke's just like carrying on like a pork chop. That's 2 for 2 for Gator. Snap, snap, snap. And I'm going, what's just come set here, like, give it a spell, mate. I don't want to hear this crap, And I look over, and there he goes. He's printed out GTO form guide from Gator. So it's half a win for the boys. But yeah, anyway, there's something in it, mate. He does a great job, and definitely a punting resource worth picking up, especially this time of year.
Absolutely. And look, he's well known. He's well known for his sectionals, and he's well known for his video analysis. Wanted to ask him how he builds that into his approach. So lots of good stuff. Hang around for this interview, guys. Let's have a look, Mick.
Okay, punters, our tipster in focus this week is someone you're going to be very familiar with. We've got none other than David Gator Gately. How are you, Dave?
Hello, mate. Good to be here.
Over there in lockdown in Melbourne.
Yeah, no, I've mastered this couch sitting thing. Last couple of years, we're all over it. So should have invested in a new one, actually.
Yeah, it might be getting to that time, mate.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we've had a cracking spring carnival so far. Lots to come. Can I get what's your highlight at this point of time, mate? Before we get into some of the bigger races.
Yeah, I think we're always looking for the next superstar, aren't we? And I think that always generates the most excitement for me, even from when I was back 17, 18, first getting into the great game. So seeing a horse like Incentivize come along off some big wins in 42 length aggregate winning margins to come here and win 2 Group 1s is phenomenal. You'd think he's going to be even better if he gets over further too. So, I mean, he's entitled to be favourite for the Caulfield Cup off that. And a horse like Profondo from the weekend. I mean, how exciting was that? 3rd start to do that. Then Anamo's 2nd favourite for a Cox Plate. Now, so these emerging 3-year-olds, the emerging talent is always, I think, the highlight for me each and every carnival.
Yeah, no, look, that's we can always count on Gator to come up with those sort of numbers that fascinate people. I mean, when you start looking at Incentivize's lengths of wins put together, I think it was 42.
Yeah, before he started this prep, he won 6 by an aggregate of 42. So not many have done that in history of this great game, have they?
No, and look, certainly a gutsy animal. There's no doubt about it. Very exciting time. David, I wanted to start, punters who don't know, I mean, certainly what we've been very impressed with working closely with David Gately is just the amount of information and quality information that comes to the analysis. Video analysis, the sectionals data. I mean, punters who see some of the stuff you put out in Twitter sphere or any other social media medium that would have to be impressed by some of the stuff where you compare runners and so forth. So there's no doubt, I think, in punters' minds, one of the best at just finding out who the most capable animal is in the race. I guess the question we want to ask today, David, is how do you put that capability factor together with some of the race factors on the day, whether they be speed maps or whether they be perceived track bias or any other factors that may stop the most capable horse from winning the race?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think that the bottom line is we can simplify it by saying that it is a race, and then these are athletes. So I think if you imagine a pie, and I think a majority of that pie would have to be the ability for a horse to have some sort of speed. So as an athlete, whether it's 100 meters at the Olympics or a marathon, they need to be fast at some point of the race. Now, some like a Nate Strip does it early. Others like a Chautauqua does it late, but they're elite with their speed and, you know, some can sustain it mid-race as well. So I think that speed element's really vital, and that comes down to a lot of the data that you speak of, that sort of information. Now, all the other pieces of the pie are relevant. You talked about track bias, wet and dry tracks, Caulfield, left-handed, right-handed, Rosehill, and interference, barrier draws. They are all part of the puzzle. And that's when price factors in, I think. So I looked at it's a great example on Saturday, the Caulfield Guineas. Everyone was saying, oh, Artorius is drawn in, he can't win. Animo's drawn out, he can't win. The two best athletes probably should have run 1-2 if Artorius doesn't miss the start.
Yep.
So I think I tend to always default to the best athlete and then work around backwards from that.
Yeah, excellent. That's a great insight there, David. Look, punters will be able to grab your race day package, you know, which covers Randwick and Caulfield this weekend and Sydney and Melbourne every weekend with all that analysis built into it. It's certainly a superb product available at thegreattipoff.com on Thursday morning. But before that comes out, we just thought we'd try and sneak in a bit of a heads up in potentially Caulfield Cup and Everest, or at least one. Anything you can give punters a bit of insight there too?
Yeah, I've had a good look at both races. I think the Caulfield Cup, although the final acceptance is a Wednesday, we've got a good idea what the field's going to be, and Everest, the barrier draws out. So I think the Caulfield Cup's pretty obvious this year. I don't think there's been a more standout runner in my recent memory than Incentivise. His profile is just exceptional for the race. Okay, we thought he'd get a kilo less, but that's not going to make or break him. You know, he's got to get around Caulfield. There's a bit of rain predicted. You know, he's only seen a soft track. So these are the queries that we spoke of just earlier, and the unknowns, and a high pressure field of 20. But his two best runs to date have been the only two times he's been at a staying trip. So what he's been doing at these shorter courses, which has been phenomenal, it's a bit of a bonus. You know, he's been so strong through the line. It's just the perfect setup for him. I think probably since that mare of Mara and Eustace Jamaica, there probably hasn't been a more obvious Caulfield Cup favourite for mine. And I'll give you the spoiler alert. He'll be the top pick.
Yeah, okay. Probably no surprise there.
Yeah.
Hard to find a gutsier, hardier sort of runner for some time. I mean, certainly impressive in the lead-up races, and interesting just to hear that they're touted as a bonus, and the big ones yet to come, obviously, with the staying performances in the past. So that's great. Look, David, hey, where are punters going to see you when it comes to the big Flemington Carnival, mate?
Flemington, I'm back with Channel 10 for the next 3 years, so that's always exciting. We lost Francesca again, I think, due to this COVID thing, but the team will be together with Felgate and Britt and the team, so it'd be great to be back on course, and we'll actually have a bit of a crowd, which will be awesome.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Look, I thought we could run a bit of a book on the side about what colour your corsage will be, mate. Can you give the watchers of the show maybe a heads up, and we can sort of get on at a good price?
Mate, I'd love to give you a heads up, but I don't get a say. Like anything fashion, they don't let me in on it, which is probably a smart move, given I've jumped out of the singlet for a t-shirt here. So they're too smart for me at 10. Don't worry.
Good on you, Dave. Look, hey, thanks for all your good work. And of course, punters can pick that premium package up on the site at thegreattipoff.com. Just search for David Gately in the search bar. Dave, all the best, mate. And thanks once again for your time. Have a cracker, mate.
Been a pleasure. Can't wait for Saturday. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
So, Mick, we're continuing this How Do You Punt series. And look, this is really where we want to hear what the punters think. I mean, I don't know, Mick, if you've had a chance to read through the Twitter thread from last week's. I mean, I've personally been very interested just to learn how different people treat track bias. I mean, it's a discussion point, but just seeing some of that, we have Mick Wallace chime in, Cody Lane, and blokes like Mitch Lucas on the site, and there's many, many more. So keep it going, guys. We're trying to really get that insight for people watching. And this week, Mick, we picked one out. Again, another big discussion point, weight. Now, the old saying, weight will stop a train. Mick, did you want to give us your thoughts? I mean, how do you use weight when you punt?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think it's, something back when I was, doing form without any sort of data help, using any of the GTX, or I don't use with GTX at the moment. I don't use any of the others, but they're all great software, great programs. But you would have to go to sites like RaceNet, Racing and Sports, look at the switches, look at those horses that have gone up and gone down, and then almost, draw lines through the form and then work out when they go down and weight how they're going to perform, blah, blah, blah. Really, really time consuming. The moral of the story is obviously the way that the weight that the horse is carrying will have some effect. There's, obviously over the shorter distances and stuff, and longer distances you'll touch on in a minute, but for mine, it's huge. Using a program like GTX really helps, and it goes through. It allows you to look at those weight performance ratings and basically allocate where today's weight and how those previous runs were up against that weight. So using something like that's great. You can do it manually, you can do it yourself, but it's super important. I think you can get a big edge there. Another area I probably wanted to mention where weight does play a part is, especially in country, provincial races, and looks in town as well, of course, but when you're getting a 3 kilo claimer that can ride, and this is no disrespect, we're talking 3 kilo claimers are kids, majority of the time are kids here who half the time, they're just trying to hold on, right? They're just they're doing their best. But when you get one that can just ride, like Dylan Givens to start off, it's claiming 3 or 4, then 3 kilos, like hello. You find one of those that get to the front, and you're away. So if you can find, there's a huge advantage for an apprentice that can ride a winner, especially on a front runner. For mine, that's when that 3 kilo claim really kicks in, or claim of that status, and that's a big weight difference. Big difference in sort of winning or losing there for mine.
Yeah, I mean that was a question I was going to ask you there, Mick. I mean, if you are looking at that apprentice claim scenario, I mean, obviously the easier run. So if it is a front runner and it's not going to get too much of a hassle to get out there, it's going to get an easier run. That's probably where the apprentice opportunity presents itself more, would you say? So easier run.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Significantly more, and to the point where if it wasn't going to be in the top 4, that 3 kilo claim could almost, with respect, there's probably a few out there that are just that good early, but with respect, it is going to be, you're going to need a 3 kilo claim. Let's be honest. But if they're out in front and there's sort of no carnage in front of them, they don't have to duck and weave or do anything special, especially if they're a leader down in grade. Wow, let's do that. Let's bet that.
Look, I mean, some of our experiences there, Mick, and how we use it, but of course, there's a wealth of knowledge out there, and of course, we want to hear it. So give us your thoughts. How do you use weight? I think there was a Don Scott analysis put out on this, where I think by memory, the conclusion was, look, it's not as important as some people make it out to be, weight. So what do you think? Does weight stop a train? Do you consider it, and how do you consider it? We want to hear. Post your comments wherever you see this footage and let us know. Get involved. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. All right, there is our Everest Caulfield Cup episode done, Mick. Hey, I'm not going to forget this week, so I'm going to go there first. Mick's moral. I mean, a bit of a surprise last week. You won Getty beaten there, but I'm sure you'll have a winner for punters this week. Mick, what do you got, mate?
I wasn't surprised one bit. I could stop a freight train this month, but hey, we're going to bounce back in a big way. We hopefully will be chiming into equation. I have no idea what price it's going to be, but it's Randwick race 10 number 1 equation. Brock Ryan claims it's 2 kilos. It's 61, so down to 59 kilos. It's going to get a rain affected track, which is ideal. Not sure it liked the good 3 last week as much as we like, but third up, it is ready to fire, and it is way better than these. Let's just hope it doesn't open $1.90. If it does, I'm sorry.
Yeah, look, I mean, there it is. Anyhow, punters, Mick's moral equation. Mick, while you've got the mic there, mate, again, why do punters, why is it a good reason at the moment to subscribe? What's happening at the start of next week?
Yeah, chime in. If you're lucky enough or smart enough to subscribe, you'll probably pick up the alert around 9 or 10 o'clock on a Monday night. So you don't have to wait till the Tuesday. But mate, next week we have the Cox Plate and the Invitation all-in show. So that'll be going up there. There'll be Dino and myself chiming in with a stack of value plays and no doubt a couple of winners there, mate.
Yeah, they just keep rolling on, right? Cox Plate, Derby week, Cup week, and Oaks Day week. Look, it just goes on then, Stakes Day. So tune in, guys. Subscribe. Remember, thegreattipoff.com is your place to come for horse racing tips. Remember also harness racing tips, greyhound racing tips. They're all there. Every tipster you can think of, search for them in the search bar. All the stats since 2009. There isn't a resource like it. Mick, anything else before we sign off, mate?
Mate, just back plenty of winners. Get around your local publicans. Get out there. Start spending some of this coin you've all been earning. And let's get stuck in. And please like, share, comment, retweet. Give Damo a spray for anything. His lighting's better, so he doesn't look like he's sick anymore. But good to have you back, mate. But yeah, please get involved. As I said the other day on our YouTube stuff, honestly, like your comments and feedback and stuff is our fuel. So the more you'll see it, the more Damo want to get around it.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Good luck on the punt. Till next week. Stay safe and, go well.
Back some winners.